We stopped at number 6. Let me start with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edhi vedasyama anisthaha shrutam me ma prahasihi anenadhitena horatram Sandadhami Ritam Vadashyami Satyam Vadashyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Mam Avatu Bhaktaram Avatu Bhaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we stopped at number 6. Tuvam Agne Rudro Asuro Maho Divach Tuvam Shardho Marutam Priksha Ishishe. Let me find the rhythm. Tvam Agne Rudro Asuro Maho Divach Tvam Shardho Marutam Priksha Ishishe Tuvam Vatai Harunai Hyasi Shamdhayach Tuvam Pusha Vidhatach Pasi Nutmana Tuvam Agne Rudro Asuro Maho Divacham Tvam Agne Tvam Agne Rudro Asuro Maho Divach Tvam Shardho Marutam Preksha Ishishe. Tuvam Shardho Marutam Preksha Ishishe. Tuvam Vataich Arunaich Yasi Shamdhayach Tuvam Posha Vidhatach Pasi Nutmana. 12. Jagati. O fire, thou art Rudra, the mighty one of the great heaven, and thou art the army of the live gods, and hast power over all that fills desire. Thou enjoyest with dawn-red winds to bear thee, and thine is the house of bliss. Thou art Pushan, and thou guardest with thyself thy worshippers. The challenge of the translation of in one go is that you have to choose one option, which is most suitable in that moment, but there are more options behind which are also suitable. And in that sense, every translation is restricting language in understanding. So, but still, Sri Aurobindo does his utmost, really, in his translation. So I will add my interpretation. Agni, you are Rudra, the master of power of existence, Asura, in the great heaven, Mahodivach, or of the great heaven, literally. You are the troops of storm winds, Shardhach, the troops, the hosts of Marutam, of Maruts. You possess all mixtures of high and lower. This is my interpretation. Ishishe Priksha. Priksha is mixture. From here we have also Prishni, the Divine Mother, which is of the overmind, where the transcendental world meets the upper hemisphere meets the lower hemisphere, where they cross. And this crossover, so to say, is Priksha. Interesting, from root prich, to mix, where the spiritual and material meet. and mix, and they create what we know as manifestation in time and space, starting from overmind. So Prishni, the Divine Mother, is the Divine Mother of the overmind. Prishni is also the dappled cow or dappled horse, you know, these white horses with apples on them. So with many colored, many shades, many hues, because it's a mixture. So you possess all the mixture, I translate, or mixture of higher and lower, or spiritual and material. So you are in charge of this manifestation of the spirit in matter. Sri Aurobindo puts here, you have the power over all that fills desire. Interesting. There is a psychological kind of meaning to it. Everything which fills desire, that fills desire. So that means the desire itself is the product of this mixture. The desire is the power of the spirit which is trapped in the darkness of manifestation. So it has to purify itself, to become a pure aspiration at the end. But at the beginning, it works as a desire to break through. If desire would not be there, we would never evolve from the lower stages to the higher. So the desire is something which is pushing us forward. That eros of Greek philosophy, that eros is the driving force of evolution. In Indian tradition, it is known as Shiva Lingam, is the power which is pushing forward everything in its growth of consciousness. But then later in the Advaitic philosophy, in the post-Vedic period, the desire turns to be becomes the enemy of the process of self-finding, and because there are many hues and shades of desire which are becoming an obstacle on this path. We know about this. Ego was the helper, ego is the bar. The same we can say about desire. Desire was a helper, and now desire is a bar, because the desire is no more fulfilling its function. We need to purify the desire and to find that pure divine properties within the desire. So most probably because of that, Sri Aurobindo puts here the power over all that fills desire. And we spoke on desire quite a lot. No? And our mother speaks about this, that the absolutism of desire, or desire which wants to realize itself absolutely, is the sign of the divine presence in manifestation. Because absolutism of realization is the divine presence. And desire can never be satisfied, as we know, from Buddhistic tradition also. I was already quoting this before. Even the golden rain cannot satisfy the desire. It's from Dhammapada. Golden rain cannot satisfy the desire because it is not meant to be satisfied. It has its own different evolutionary purpose. It's an engine of evolution. It pushes everything forward. And until the divine is realized, it cannot be stopped anyway. You see, I kind of reinterpret the desire. Sri Aurobindo even uses the term the divine desire in Savitri. Divine desire, interesting. Kind of thing which is very difficult to combine. But if you look with our divine eyes on manifestation, with Vedic eyes, we will see that there cannot be other force but the divine force, which we called the desire on the lower levels. So thou journeyest with dawn red winds to bear thee, and thine is the house of bliss. Dawn red winds. It's kind of another exaggeration of the Vedic Rishi. Vataich, Arunaich. Aruna is usually the golden red, the color of the pure gold. And it is the color of the sun. Aruna is the sun and the dawn. So you move with dawn-hued forces of life. So the forces of life which are already charged with the presence of the Divine Mother or the light of the sun. You are the house of peace and bliss. Shamgayach. Sham in the Vedas, in the Rig Veda especially, is used in the sense of peace and also bliss. Interesting, yes? Peace and bliss are in one word.
Vladimir,
Yes.
How is Agni peace and bliss? Sorry, I can't wrap my mind around. I thought fire.
Where is peace? Where is bliss? Yes, when it is burning.
Yes, exactly.
Hot and ashes is the result. Yeah.
Yes.
You are the house of peace and bliss. So once everything is converted and transformed by Agni, yes, then real, true peace and true bliss is achieved. Until then, we are never in peace and we are never in bliss. We are constantly on the move. Yes, and you are Pushan who fills the ordainess of the sacrifice with his own being. This is also very interesting. Pushan is the Aditya, one of the Adityas. According to the Varnik distinction, he belongs to Shudras. Though he represents the sun, he is the Shudra sun. Shudra means he is involved in the physical form of service. Pushan is from root push, to grow, yes? Pushti from here. Pushti Vardhanam, yes? The Pushti is growing, the matter is growing, being charged by the spirit from within. So this is the power of the sun, which is making matter grow and exceed and evolve. And you are the one Pushan who is doing this for the ordainers of the sacrifice, Vidhatach, for those who worship you. You are the one who, with his own body, making them grow. And this is something interesting because this is Agni within us, which makes us grow with his own self, Tamana. This is the Vedic word. In the post-Vedic, we have Atman. And in the Veda, in the Rig Veda, we have Tman without A prefix, which has the same meaning, self, or the body. By the way, in the Veda, Atman and Tman is any self, not only the higher self, but every self, including physical body. By himself, Tmana, by oneself, by the physical body, one's own being. It's quite interesting because later we have Atman only as the higher self. But not true. In the Upanishads, there is a transition. There is Annamayam Atma, there is Atman made of matter, Atman made of prana, Atman made of manas, Atman made of Vijnana, supermind, and Anandamayam Atma. an Atman made of Ananda, bliss. So there are 5 Atmans, according to Taittiriya. We will study it in our Upanishadic course. And there are 5 Atmans. And this is one Atman which is pervading all the levels of consciousness. It is one self, yes, on each level manifests himself in a particular form. I think that follows the Vedic vision of Atman as the self, as the being. Being is present on all levels of consciousness in different forms. So Vidhat is an interesting word. It's the one who worships, but it is closely related with the root vid, vyad, vidhyati, piercing, pervading, and also vidha, distributing. These are kindred roots. So distributing widely in all the details, occupying all the context. So the one who is, that's why I put, fills the ordainedness of the sacrifice, or the one who fills those who are constantly redistributing the presence of the divine in their life, everywhere, who are seeing and acting. It's like karma yogins, finding the divine in all the activities, vidhat. And that is worshipping the divine in all the forms of life. What means worshipping? It means finding the divine there, recognizing it, and relating to it as the divine. Makes sense? Vidhat, interesting word.
Concept of the karma yogin has to be a little bit defined, I think. When you say karma yogin, are we talking
It's
of the
exactly
Gita?
that one, yes.
Gita.
Yeah, karma yogin of the Gita is the one who sees the divine actually in all, yes, basic. Well, the crescendo of it is a bhakti yoga. You start loving the divine because you see him everywhere. But karma yoga is a secret weapon of transforming oneself and making it possible for oneself to see the divine everywhere. So the effort is to be made. Maybe karma yogin is the first stage of that transformation. It's the very effort. And then, Tuvam agne dravino da aram krete, tuvam devach savita ratnadha asi, tuvam bhago nripate vasva ishishe, tuvam payur dame yaste avidhat, yaste vidhat. O fire, to one who makes ready and sufficient his works, thou art the giver of the treasure. Thou art divine Savitri and the founder of the ecstasy. O master of man, thou art Bhaga, O hast power for the riches. Thou art the guardian in the house for the one who worships thee with his works. Again, vidhat. Who worships thee with his works. Interesting. Sri Aurobindo adds this, karma yogin's aspect, who worships thee with his activities, who redistributes you everywhere, who sees you in everything, in every context of his life. You are the bestower of the wealth. It's my interpretation. Dravina dach, O Agni, for the one who makes all sacrificial preparations right, aram krete. It's a dative case. For the one who makes it sufficient, efficient, adorned, ready for transformation. For the one who works for this, who is really karma yogin, who prepares the sacrifice, who purifies the offering and makes ready to be charged with a higher consciousness, you are the giver of dravina. Dravina is the Vedic word from root dru, to run, to flow. It is something we can say as the properties of belongings, so to say. Everything which belongs to you, but which is not fixed, like house. House is something which is fixed. But all other belongings, properties which you have, such as cloth, food, money, all that is a fluid wealth, so to say, and which creates the context of your life, which is needed for your functioning. And if it is charged or transformed by the spirit, then it becomes dravina. Dravina is the transformed wealth of your living. That means all things around you are already having different values, spiritual values. Everything works with you on your path to the divine. So your books, your table, your pen, they are all charged with the spiritual presence. Your computer, your chair, your carpet under your feet, everything is already working with you. It becomes more and more luminous, more and more divine. That's why for the rishis, it was so important to have their kind of dravinas, their valuables with them. And they had only few always, like a stick, walking stick, or some cloth, or one jar, or one, bowl for eating rice and drinking water. So, but that was so much charged with their presence that in itself it becomes a treasure. It can even translate that presence to other beings if they come in touch with it. We know about this. It's an occult thing. The one who was wearing the watch all his life is actually charging that watch with his energy. And so touching that watch, you can come in the contact with that person and his consciousness. So this dravina, interesting term, the valuables or the properties which are already transformed by the effort to find the divine in everything. So you give the dravina to those who perfectly prepare the offering. You are the god Savitar, Deva Savitar, Ratnadha, who bestows or who establishes Ratna, the divine wealth, the divine riches. Savitar, in my understanding of the Veda, is the action of the Lord of the Sun, of the supermind. But this first action is reaching out to the world. It is the first outburst, first leaping out into the darkness of the first light of the sun, as it were. We will come to the hymns of Savitar and we will see the difference the Vedic rishis make between Savitar and Surya. And they will say that Surya is Atma, Jagatah Tasthusascha. It is the self of all that moves and moves not, whereas Savitar is Vashi Jagatah Tasthusascha. And Vashi means the Lord. So Savitar is the Lord, whereas Surya is the self, if you will. Surya is the being, the body, whereas Savitar is the action of that body, consciousness, power. which is leaping out, reaching out to the darkness. Yeah? So you are the one, God Savitar, who establishes the wealth. Establishes where? In this darkness, in this lower hemisphere. He brings the luminous wealth of the sun. Yeah? Is leaping out into the darkness, reaching out. So in my view, it is the supramental overmind, as Sri Aurobindo calls it. Yeah? The highest level of the overmind, where it is coming close to the supermind, the first outburst, the first release of light into the darkness. And that establishes the wealth. Tuam bhago naripate vasva ishishi. You are the Bhaga. Bhaga is the Lord of the bliss, Ananda in the Veda. Thou art Bhaga and has power for the riches. You are Bhaga, O Lord of souls, Nripate. Pati is the Lord or the Master. Nri is the soul in the Veda, or the power, the heroic power of the soul, or even the gods. That very active power of light which is involved. So you are the Lord of that active power, heroic power, which is making transformation here within us, within our souls. Vasva Ishishe, and you possess the luminous substance within the matter. It's interesting because Vasu is, as Sri Aurobindo translates, is the luminous dweller within the substance. In Vasu, there are 8 Vasus, and the main Vasu is Agni, because he dwells within the substance. He works from within the darkness. He is the immortal among mortals. He's the dweller, luminous dweller within the substance, which constantly makes it alive and pushes towards progress. So you possess that substance within matter, luminous, divine substance within matter. Actually, this is the quality of Rudra. Rudra is the one whose son is Agni.
Is there any way one can get in touch with the luminous substance in matter?
Yeah, it's a psychic being is there. It is this luminous dweller within the substance. The spark of the divine which generates and creates that being, which is being built over time, over evolutionary time. So that spark slowly kind of conquers the world and builds up his own kind of being out of it, leaping out more and more, reaching out to the mental, vital, and physical nature, making them more and more suitable for its own dwelling, and by that transforming them gradually. Yes? And all the changes it passes through genetic code to children, to grandchildren, and so on. And every time we come, we take a new body with more capacity. And again, we push it forward.
So that is pure matter?
That
is that pure matter?
It is the luminous dweller within the matter. Matter is being constantly influenced by that luminous dweller within the substance, which is to be illumined. And so slowly we grow, and that's the evolution of this species. Yeah?
So eventually matter gets purified, right? Through that luminosity. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Becoming more and more, yes, receptive of the spirit, and more capable of acting in accordance with the spiritual need. That is the purification, until it is, of course, becoming immortal. Immortal in the sense that the spirit doesn't have to leave. So the matter is totally responding immediately, without any delay in time and space, without any problem of transformation. Transformation is completed. So you don't need to go on kind of burning it and transforming it and passing the changes towards future generations. No more future generations. You arrived. And that means no more children, in a sense of procreating and passing the changes forward. Yeah? But about these matters, we can speak only within the integral yoga framework. Yeah? We can't speak about it in any other tradition. Even in those who study Vedas would not understand this much or would object to it. But there must be, it's a logical conclusion that if that process of transformation is taking place and we become more and more subtle in our matter, in our bodies, more receptive of the spirit, that must come to some end or to some result, which is envisioned from the beginning. Bahusyam, may I be many, he wanted. And he wanted to be many. And how to become many? It doesn't mean to become many like temporarily, being born and dying, you know. It means to arrive at the point where you are many. You, the immortal one, the one who is, becomes many, which is beyond our comprehension. But logically, it's very feasible. No?
Yes, thank
Why
you.
are we many?
Very clear, very clear. Thank you.
And Payuh, you are the Payuh, the protector. Interestingly, that Payuh in the post-Vedic literature is very different. It is the anus, actually, Payuh. And Payuh, in a way, is holding all our intestine and all what it has within us, not to drop out. So it's kind of protecting the environment from us. So it's a funny thing, but here Payuh is from root pa, to fill, to protect. Filling and protecting is the same idea. So I'm saying this because Sanskrit doesn't have this preference of for good or bad words. It's only functional, yes? It reflects the functionality. There is no judgment as such. Yeah? The root has this feeling, this sense of filling, holding, protecting, and it can be applied to any context. Yeah? There is no bad or good context in this sense. It's later when the mind becomes very moralistic, everything is viewed differently. So you are the protector, Dame, in our house. Dhamma is usually domain, dome, yeah? Dome of, it's where we dwell. It's our dwelling place. Yaste avidhat, who worships thee with his works, or who redistributes you, I put, who ordains your presence and worships you in everything. We can say even who manifests you in all the details of life. This is even better. To him, you are protecting the house. To him, you are the dweller, possessing the dwelling divinity in the substance. To him, you are the Lord of bliss. To him, you are the Savitar, who establishes the highest divine reaches. To him, you are the giver of the flow of light within the action and within the context, Dravinada, to the one who is perfectly preparing the offering, who makes the offering perfect, who puts all his effort to make the divine manifestation for him. And then, yeah, this one is big, because I have, you see, I was collecting the quotations from Sri Aurobindo on the symbolism of 10, 100, and 1,000, which is constantly used in the Veda. Tuvam agne dame a vishpatim vishach, tuvam rajanam suvidatram rinjate, tuvam vishvani suanika patyase, tuvam sahasrani shatadasha prati, tuvam sahasrani shata dasha prati. O fire, man turned to thee, the master of human being, in his house. Thee they crown, the king perfect in knowledge. O strong force of fire, thou masters all things. Thou movest to the thousands and the hundreds and the tens. All beings who have entered into this manifestation, Vishach. Vish is the people, but it's from root vish, to enter. All who have entered, are aligning with you, who is the Lord of their house. To you they turn, who is the shining master, perfect in knowledge. You are ruling over all beings in manifestation, O perfectly strong one, over the thousands and the hundreds and the tens. Now, these are symbolic numbers. Sri Aurobindo gives a very wonderful explanations to these. What are these? What they really represent. So I will just read some of his quotations here, and they will help. The constantly recurring number 99, and 99 is another very famous number, 100 and 1,000 have a symbolic significance in the Veda, which it is very difficult to disengage with any precision. The secret is perhaps to be found in the multiplication of the mystic number 7 by itself and its double repetition with the unit added before and at the end, making altogether 1 plus 49 plus 49 plus 100. So 7 times 7, 49 on one side, lower hemisphere, or let us say ascending, 7 times 7, and oneness, which is holding them, and descending, 7 times 7, and oneness. 7 is the number of essential principle in manifested nature, the 7 forms of divine consciousness at play in the world. Each formulated severally contains the other 6 in itself. Thus, the full number is 49, and to this is added the unit above, out of which all develops, giving us altogether a scale of 50 and forming the complete gamut of active consciousness. But there is also its duplication by an ascending and descending series, the descent of the gods and the ascent of man. This gives us 99, the number variously applied in the Veda to horses, cities, rivers, in each case with a separate but kindred symbolism. So we meet these numbers constantly. If we add an obscure unit below, oneness from below and oneness from above, into which all descends to the luminous unit above, towards which all ascends, we have the full scale of 100. That's the explanation by Sri Aurobindo. He doesn't insist on it, but it makes totally sense if we study the scales of being. 3 times 3 is 9. And he says somewhere that 3 times 3 is a very mental idea. It should be 7 times 7, but it is very difficult to trace. Our mind is not capable of seeing all those shades of meaning. 7 times 7. So within of these 7 levels, or let us say 7 chakras, if you will, yeah, we will have, or 9 levels, we have 9, but if we take 7 levels to the top, and within each we will see 7 levels. So within material formation, we will see 7 levels. Within the vital formation, 7 levels. Yes, all of them are reflected within the vital level. So it is very difficult to manage for our mind because we are not yet so experienced to really distinguish those levels. And so I'm giving few examples here, beautiful examples. He of the triple dawn, son of the triple bull, has awakened to knowledge with 10,000s of his plenitude. 10,000s he will be commenting here. 1,000 symbolizes absolute completeness. But there are 10 subtle powers of the illumined mind, each of which has to have its entire plenitude. It's another scale of accomplishment. 10 luminous powers of the mind in manifestation, 10 sisters, 10 figures. We will come to them. 10 fingers, which are purifying soma, which are kindling the fire. These are symbolic fingers of the purified mentality. 1,000-fold enjoyment. These are the quotations from the Veda. 1,000-fold riches. 1,000-voiced hymns. 1,000-voiced hymns, beautiful. Agni is the bull of the 1,000 horns. Can you imagine 1,000 horns bull? This is a bull, yeah? You can't fight with such a bull. 1,000 burning brilliances of soma, 1,000-fold vision, the 1,000-pillared home of truth and bliss. 1,000-pillared home. There are 1,000 pillars within the home. This 1,000-pillared force of knowledge, they make a home for themselves and dwell there in the revelations of the word. This is from the Rig Veda, Sri Aurobindo's translation. The Rig Veda rises out of the ancient dawn with the sound of 1,000-voiced hymn lifted from the soul of man to an all-creative truth, to an all-illumining light. 1,000-voiced hymn. This is the Rig Veda, arising from the soul of man. Shunakshepa too, head of delight, was born to the 1,000-fold post, was bound to this 1,000-fold post of the sacrifice. Even the sacrifices has 1,000 posts to which Shunakshepa was bound. So 1,000 is a very symbolic number. There is also 10. 10 sisters, 10 powers of illumined mentality. I will stop here. I will not overload you with all of these. You read through them, and we can start next time with these numbers. Yeah, it's a very loaded topic. So somewhere Sri Aurobindo beautifully describes 100 he described. This is the fullness in manifestation. 1,000 is already going beyond. It's an infinity, infinity upon infinity. Yes, as Vasishtha would say, Aditayah Syama. May we be Aditis and Adityas. So may we be infinities, and these are thousands upon thousands. And 100 is the fullness of manifestation, and 10 is the fullness of, in this lower hemisphere, 10 sisters, 10 powers of illumined mentality, which are holding this lower hemisphere in alignment with the divine. So it's quite interesting. All of them have this idea of completeness. And we have Dashagva rishis of 10 rays, which fulfilled their purpose in manifestation. Yeah, they reached to the Swar world. They broke through our ceiling to the beyond, and that becomes 10. 9 is attention. It's a fullness within the lower hemisphere, but 10 is breaking through and connecting to the spiritual light. So all of these 10, 100, and 1,000 are related, as you see, but it's the same vision on different scales, as it were, or in different contexts, if you will. Okay, I will stop here because it's too much, I know already. I can feel it. Everybody is already, woo. Can you stop, please, for a second? Shut up, you. I'm joking.
No, we don't want you to stop.
I know now. We didn't call for this kind of. But I know that I feel it. I'm kind of driven away. Yeah. Yes, Jasso.
I have a very different question, okay, because I've been attending this for I think a year or two with you, and I just wanted to know that do you structure your sessions because you just kind of go into the flow. So how do you do it? How do you tap into what you want to say?
I don't tap into what I don't prepare that part.
Okay.
The text is leading us. I read so many years the texts and worked on them. And when I read my translations of the hymns now, I wonder, was it me really? Is it really possible that it was me? So just wonder at all, altogether. It's a constant wonder. So be ready for this. It's not something I have to deliver to you like 1, 2, 3, everything is written down. But certain things are written down. They have to be written down, yes. It's all within the language. If you know language well, you will be able to read the text with insight for yourself. And sometimes it comes more, sometimes it doesn't come. So you have to bear with me and bear with ourselves. It's very good when you start asking questions, because then only we can tune to your calling, so to say. Otherwise,
No, but
I'm
you know,
doing
like
my own calling.
it's new every time, like, you know, like because as I said, I've attended these sessions and there's always a new meaning, like a new reading. I've never
Oh, yeah.
felt uh you know, because you know when you listen to people and they are used to saying something, and then when you keep listening to them, it's the same thing that they're saying, right? And it's so for me, more than what you're teaching is just that energy flow, which I've shared this before, but it's just that, you know, which is very engaging.
Yeah, because I'm not really doing that in the format of delivery or the report. Yeah, like a academic report. Deliver your findings. Yeah. and let us be. No, I don't let you be. That's the problem. So we all kind of move together, try to find the meaning in it. And the language is so luminous, and when we tune into it, we get the insight, or how to say it. I do not know how to say it. The word is leading us on the way, and Sri Aurobindo's interpretation, of course, gives us the light, and we need to know the text. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just that I think you know the text really well. I mean, it's just, I guess you've been doing this for many years, right?
Yes, this is another thing. Yes, many years, like several decades and 3 decades. So
Yeah.
after 3 decades, you will be able to say something on the hymn. Believe me, even if you don't want to. Mm.
Okay, yeah, I know this had no direct relation to
Sorry.
the thing, but I just needed to ask you this or share this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for supporting the idea. I believe that there is no other way to go about it, because delivering the report, it ends very dry and very fast. Few such reports and the whole thing will be over. I will tell you what is what, who is Indra, who is Rudra. When I was in the university, I made the first, after 1 year, I made the presentation. The students of the first, most probably, I mentioned this before, the students of the first year had to make a presentation with other students in our department on Indian philology. I was in Indian philology department, Sanskritology. And students of the 5th year, they had like 15 minutes. Everyone had his time, and I was given 5 minutes to make a presentation on the Rig Veda, which I was working on. So they gave me first the hymn of the Rig Veda, thinking that I will manage first the hymn because other hymns are more difficult. So I was first I was very skeptical. I thought, well, first the hymn is so obvious, so clear. But when I started to look into it, I found the whole vision of the Veda. So, and in my presentation on the first that I started with this first hymn, and it took 45 minutes for me to finish. And they didn't dare to interrupt me because I was on fire. You could not touch that thing.
Yeah, so it was the Agni, right?
Yeah,
The
I was
Agni.
burning there, and they were also burning with me, all of them. And then at the end, my professor told a very strange thing, because she's so, how to say, skeptical and so rational. Then she said, this presentation was on the par with the hymn itself.
Wow.
It was the best I could hear, I couldn't expect from her, because I knew she was so critical, always not to use overtime, always, but she was on fire. From that time on, I was given freedom to study in the university. From the year 2, I was given total freedom to attend any lectures, but I had to pass exams. So I was freelancer in the university, studying my things which I wanted. But what I'm saying about this, that that the Rig Veda, why did I say this? Because I wanted to say something more. So from that time on, it became the something for me, which was kind of which took me in, as it were. I could not. It's not the pain. It's a bliss. Every time I read, every time I open the hymn or the book, it's a bliss. Okay, now I will start getting bliss. That's how I come to read this. It's not, oh, I have to prepare the next hymn. I'm so grateful. You can't imagine that we have these courses, because I can go on with you and see what can be done and how it can be. Yes. Yeah, God touch of some kind. Yes, we want that touch. We want to recreate it again and again. And it's not about studies, actually. It's about us. Yeah, about the sacrifice. The sacrifice is to take place. This transformation of consciousness is to be activated.
Mm.
And when
Is
we
it
feel, yeah,
is it like the Dravina that you just explained?
something like Dravina, yes. In this moment of time, in this hour of time, something happens. And in this hour is becoming not wasted in your life, you know. You try to tune yourself to the higher ideal of the rishis. They brought you the context in which you can do it. You don't have such literature where you can do it, you know, in this way. You have a philosophical literature which explains things. You have scientific literature which helps to understand something, which is good. But this direct call, direct vision of the highest knowledge through language which is matching it, this treasure you don't have anywhere, only in India. That's why Veda was and is so fundamental for the whole Manvantara. And everything what happened in India. It's the really bedrock, as Sri Aurobindo says, of all our philosophies, of all our religions. Bedrock of all our philosophies. Because it generates philosophies. It creates thoughts. It's the word which manifests the concepts, the visions, and they are infinite, like that 1,000-horn bull. You know? You don't have the limited number of the expressions. They are infinite. And you feel it. You feel that freedom to move. Yes, okay, we can stop here and start with this symbolism next time again. I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So see you. Bye.